All right, welcome everyone. Let's dive in. Let's dance. We're going to start sitting. And you can sit, of course, however you like. And we usually have one or two defaults. So change it up immediately. I've been really working on having the other leg in front. And so in the human story of being roughly symmetrical, we're awfully asymmetrical with regard to negative patterning. So the other leg in front is a good way to start to open that hip that's not quite as spacious. Also just to add variety, complexity to our movement, even if it's relatively still. And go ahead and give the pelvis permission to be first. And what I mean by this is that we often orient pretty much to everything through the head first. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just maybe lacking in a deeper wisdom. So by placing the pelvis first, what we want to do is first bring your awareness down via the breath, exhale by exhale. And so you can feel a sense of your gravity center dropping down into the deep belly. I will often take a hand or a few fingertips and softly touch below the navel to reflect awareness to this sacred place. The hara, in some practices, maybe you've heard of the lower dantian. But it's really your gravity center. And it's going to be personal. You'll find it in your embodied space intuitively, and also it can move around. But by just touching the low belly, there's a reflection, an immediate reflection backwards towards the sacrum and backwards towards the deeper belly, where we invite the breath to touch that deeper space, the interior posterior belly. And the sensations that follow, sometimes quickly, like the widening of the tailbone, the widening of the sacrum, the widening of the lumbar vertebrae as they spread their wings. You may also feel an overall relaxation and unwinding in the nervous system just by letting the breath touch the pelvis, touch the deep belly. And this is a mantra, this is a recurring theme that you want to revisit throughout the day, driving your car, walking the trail, hugging your loved ones. This is something that can call us back to our root space, back to a sense of embodied origin. And if you've ever received craniosacral therapy or any kind of energy work where you're really tuning into something that's beyond what we experience as flesh, this is what we're attuning to, is the rhythm of bone, the rhythm of bone breath, and the slower tides, the pulsations that move us, that are beyond the heart, the fabulous heart, and beyond the lungs. We're talking about planetary forces. We're talking about stars and moons, and however subtle, this is real. So I just said a lot, and the invitation is always what I'm after, is to bring us, to invite us back to that which you already know, a sense of center that is not technique, but is innate. And just that sigh, that exhale, just that understanding, that the remembrance of like, oh yeah, right. My body already knows how to move, how to heal. And it is more than the seat of the soul, the energy of spirit is unified. It emerges into nature. It emerges into you. It's not separate. So this is really exciting. Every single day, it's exciting to realize that we are creative creatures. So your movement this morning, your movement, whatever it is, however intense, however easy, however fluid, graceful or not, is just expression of possibility. So setting the pelvis in right polarity as being first means that you could say that source touches or translates its creative force through the pelvis. And this is, so go ahead and let the pelvis just fall back. Just come to completely fall out of the chair, right? And drop your chin and let the sitting bones point forward, and you're riding, the tail is long out in front of you. The low belly, however, is gently hugged back. The shoulders round, the spine rounds, the chin drops, the heart sinks, and yet it's conscious. And then can you sit back up just in the pelvis? Can the pelvis pull you back up by pulling the ground back with your sitting bones? And then go a little bit further until the pelvis can't tip forward anymore. And you feel a little bit of a curve, a back bend in your low spine. And this is where the belly needs to be strong. So hug the fabric of the belly towards the spine, and then lift the chest and look up and close the shoulder blades behind you. In fact, just set the hands down on the floor behind you. We'll do this a lot later. And go ahead and pull the shoulder blades, fully retract them until they touch, and then invite the diaphragm, the bottom of the rib basket, backwards. And then lay the head back over the shoulders. Bend the elbows, open the chest even more, and push down with your hands fiercely. Take the knees away from each other, broadening your seat, but the sits bones stay down. Now slowly release and come back up. And as you sit relatively upright, then let the pelvis fall back again, consciously rolling posterior rotation of the pelvis, which is rolling on the hip joints. Okay, and then reach your arms out in front of you and grab on to the air and pull, like a mime, pull yourself back up into your back bend. But this time, take the hands and turn the palms up and squeezing the shoulder blades together, opening the chest, back bending. Okay, and then push the hands forward to roll back. And we'll go like this several times. Pulling yourself to the back bend, pelvis first. So empowering the pelvis means so many things. Pushing yourself back, posterior rotation of the pelvis. So we become familiar with what we can do right now anyway with regard to pelvic movement in this front-back dynamic. Wherever you feel a stretch, wherever you feel exposed or raw or tender, and this could be joint, it could be flesh, it could be anywhere, it could be energetic. You want to try to engage that space more deeply, more locally. So if it's a shoulder, how do you turn on the flesh in and around the shoulder? If it's a hip, how do you support the hip? General guidelines is work your buttocks more and your belly more, or work the middle band of the body in general. This is going to help the sacrum and the low back and the hips and the knees and even the heart. Okay, now as you pull yourself back up, change the way that you're sitting. Do something different. And it doesn't matter what it is, just so long as it's a change. And all right, and notice now I've got my left leg out, and you don't have to do this. But with the leg out, if you have a long leg variation and the hamstrings are feeling tight, you need to bend the knee and pull the heel down into the ground. Okay, this just is something we'll talk about a lot. So continue letting the pelvis fall back, and you can start to get creative as you let the arms, the spine, the shoulders, the head and neck begin to articulate variation, not by way of thinking about it, by just allowing for it. So here comes the dance on your butt. And you're just moving in water. So there's this tone throughout your system, tonality, this conscious engagement, a commitment to supporting ourselves, to hold space for ourselves. But still, the pelvis is our origin movement. It's the zero space. Try different things while you continue to move the pelvis front to back, back to front, pulling and pushing. Try something different with your toes or your nose. That might take some practice, that second one. Change the way you're sitting again. Keep going. So like babies, we push and pull against our environment, which includes our bodies inside. We push and pull, we taste, we smell, we sense everything, the fabric of life. And like the Tai Chi practitioner in the park, there's power and there's deep, soft suppleness at the same time. So the creativity opens up as you find yourself kind of all over the place, but very consciously all over the place. Stronger and slower, and yet somehow more hollow, more open in the breath. Good. Now just come to relative stillness, sitting cross-legged with either leg in front. So this is something I really want to invite, is this deepest engagement, and you're going to find a fuller spectrum of how you can engage. So if you watch me for just a minute, back in the martial arts, we would do some things. Sometimes they were so slow. You would be punching so slow and resisting yourself at the same time that you were shaking. It's a very positive shake. It actually moves a ton of micro trauma right out of your system. Animals shake when they're moving trauma. If they don't survive. So you can play with this morning and always, is that when whatever we're doing, you can really pull and push and see if, don't ever be afraid to turn yourself completely on. And I think we're a little bit afraid of that. We kind of default to being totally off. And there's all this fuss about binary, non-binary. Not talking about gender. I'm talking about being totally off or totally on. And we don't know how to play the spectrum in between. And that's what this is all about. Let's stand up. Take your time. And once you go up to the shape, the human shape of standing, key of standing, look down at your feet, which is very grounding energetically. If you want to ground yourself, look at your feet physically, eyeball the feet. Turn the feet straight ahead and unlock your knees. And just take a moment, right? Be very conscious of what it feels like. Micro-bend everything in the body, which means the joints. Let the joints be soft. Take your hands onto the hips, like right in the front of the pelvis. Take your stance about twice as wide as what it is now. Okay. And now bend the knees a little more, like a baby horse stance. And what if you could somehow move the ground from side to side? Like push the ground to the right to make your body go to the left, and then move the earth to the left to take your body to the right. And stay in that tone. So here we are in water. I don't know when the heck Homo Caliente is going to open back up, but like when you're in that dense, mineral-dense water, right? And you get your feet in the mud, and you can move the earth side to side with this intelligent bilateral side-to-side dance. And you end up going deep enough. If you bend your knees, watch, you can really kick your hips out. You're in a deep side bend, really opening up the whole lateral line. And remember, where you're feeling stretch, you need to be really strong. And I'll challenge you, when you feel a stretch, you want to be strong enough to where you do not feel that stretch anymore. So here in the side belly and the side body, you've got to figure out ways to turn on that QL, turn on the obliques. It's going to probably start with the buttocks and the hamstrings. So in a way, you're pressing out against the chrysalis, you're moving, you're transforming, you're breaking free without an attitude, with just the right, human right, and the right of all living creatures is to be free, freely expressive, freely functional. Now, take the arms up above the shoulder line. No matter what they do, you're going to add a lot to this just by reaching. Maybe reaching. Look at this strain. Look at the distortion. It's not distortion, it's possibility. And can you keep your joints safe while you get into these funky spaces? And how on the legs are. Grab onto the earth with your feet. You're going to fatigue very quickly. It's good for you. It's good for you. Now go half your current speed, no matter what it is, and twice as strong. Go ahead and turn to one side. Everyone turn a quarter turn to your left or to your right. You'll end up in an asymmetrical stance. Now we're going to move front to back, but really slow. Now you're pushing the earth forward with your feet to move back. And then you're pulling the earth back to move forward. So, if you just go through the motions, you might find this practice to be kind of boring. But if you know how to engage, it turns on exponentially. Turn around 180 to the other side when you need to, so you don't over fatigue one side. Moving in the pulse of forward and back. If you want more in the legs, bend the knees. You can also, I don't know if you notice, you can turn the hips independently in and out and get all kinds of variation. You can float the light foot, whatever that foot is. If you're leaning forward, it's your back foot. It's the front foot if you're leaning back. And there's all kinds of balance. But what is the belly doing? Where is the gut? How is the core, pelvis showing up in this? Remember, it's first. Move your pelvis to move everything. So let's do an experiment. Come back to relatively simple standing. Feet parallel, go a little wider than the hips. Now before we were moving side to side and the pelvis is on a linear track, right? But now what we're going to do is go slightly elliptical as you go around either clockwise or counterclockwise. It's not a circle, although you can do that. Keep it a wide elliptical orbit. And you start to find so much more when it's nonlinear. Now, you got to really track your hips and your knees and your feet together rotationally. So in the right hip, right knee, right foot, they point in the same direction 99% of the time. Left leg, right? Left hip, knee, and foot. Can you feel it without seeing it? Continue on this orbital path and bend the knees more, dropping your hips even lower, heading halfway to the second key of folding. We're not quite there yet. And just see what's possible. Let the head and neck be free. Look around, regardless of what the pelvis is doing. The head should be freed by your movement, not bound by your movement. Now we're going to bend the knees a lot and drop your elbows onto your knees. Turn the feet parallel, go even wider with your stance. What we're going to do is just push the right elbow and the right foot down into the ground and shift over to your left. Then push the left elbow and the left foot down and move over to your right. Go back and forth. Side to side. Hang the head down. Let the head turn naturally side to side, loosening and getting some revolution in the neck. Rolling the shoulders. Now, while you do this, pick up the belly away from the floor. Your low back should round. So in this bilateral movement, maybe you can feel it, even though the hamstrings aren't very long here, how you're scrubbing, gently scrubbing, and intelligently individuating all of the pathways, all of the microfiber fabric, all of even the cellular scrub, right? Energetic scrub, and things are freeing up and reorganizing, getting along better. Take the fingertips to the ground, keep going side to side. Bend your knees enough to put the palms down, turn the hands out, turn the legs out like a frog. And now you're just a big green happy frog throwing the earth side to side with your webbed hands and your webbed feet. Usually we're monkeys, but today we're frogs. Slow down, everyone. Slow and stronger. try to notice, if possible, right, that when you slow down a certain way, it's unteachable, and you engage globally, your breath opens up. Now turn the right leg in, but keep the left leg turned out. Keep moving side to side. So the feet are more parallel, but now they're pointing off to your left, but you're still moving side to side. Yeah, it is. Turn the right leg out, again, frog legs, and then turn the left leg in and keep moving side to side. I'm just giving you ideas. I would love to invite you all every day to, as much as systems are so beautiful. I mean, I spent 18 years teaching yoga and 17 years in martial arts. To transcend the systems, they're beautiful, so beautiful. Turn both feet out again, now knees out, frogs, keep going. Is to invite your remembrance of the origin of creative movement and how to use that to heal yourself every day. Okay, now come up onto the fingertips and dance the feet closer together. Turn the legs in slightly, pigeon toe. Bend the knees a little and hang the spine, torso down over the thighs. Now make fists and put the knuckles on the floor and just gently rock side to side. So the legs are turned in, the legs are 3/4 straight, the head is hanging. Like empty the back of the head off of the shirt tag. Turn the biceps forward, the thumbs forward. It will help the shoulder and the neck, deeply entangled they usually are. Oh, good. Now dropping down through a squat, and let's just sit for a moment. Sit however you like. And just one time, let the pelvis fall back. This is a great way to reset and to find your seat. Then hook the sitting bones into the ground and pull the fabric of the ground back to roll the pelvis upright. Not all the way to the front to a backbone, but to what feels like neutral to you. You cannot possibly get any taller. Close the eyes. One of the most powerful things that we can do with regard to how energy moves through our lives and through our bodies is to allow, to not resist or control. The deeper power is in allowance, but also it takes tremendous discernment to know what's moving through us, what to let go of, in other words, and what to cultivate. Right now, I'm willing to bet you're feeling alive. And so any experience of spaciousness, of aliveness, of freedom, quickening, intelligence even, don't cling to it, just recognize how just a little bit of deep engagement and movement really stirs you up in a very good way. And holding space for ourselves is to simply practice witnessing, just observe. Just watch, which means just feel. You see what we've done in 15 minutes, 20 minutes? Take the legs out wide, not too wide, like wide-ish. Knees bent away from the ground, toes up. And we're gonna get in here, and without the hands touching the body or the floor yet, we're gonna just rock a little bit side to side, rock the boat. You get your legs out in the water, you're in the canoe, and you're gonna just rock it side to side. But you're gonna move the water, you're gonna move the whole earth side to side with your pelvis. That's what moves you. It's not falling, but engaging the earth and pushing the ground, pulling the ground side to side. The earth loves this, she loves it. It's a deep conscious engagement. The earth is a living organism, right? We're all her children. Move the ground side to side. Your heels, pull the heels down to activate the hamstrings the entire time. As you start to lean more forward in your side to side movement, you're going to feel more, a lot more. So this is now go very slow, very slow. Very slow, an iceberg moving through water. And you're pulling your heels into the ground the entire time, pulling the sits bones back, buttocks on, the belly strong, the neck is supple. And if you continue to move, and if you have the strength and endurance to stay engaged where you're being stretched, you're going to feel so much opening without actually stretching. And by what I mean by that, please understand, is you're not isolating a stretch. It's an active thing. Eccentric, concentric, plyometric, isometric, it's all happening at the same time. Okay, and now slowly come back up. Now take your hands and hold the inner knees and lift the knees with the arms and sit cross-legged, the other leg in front. And one time, let the pelvis fall back. Drop the chin, it's fine to round the shoulders consciously, and pull the sitting bones back and sit upright, just in neutral. Letting the head come up, the shoulders square off where the chest and the upper back are equally wide. You see how when we all share this space, how deeply okay we are? Don't forget. Don't forget. All right, everybody, let's come up into the key of folding. So folding is kind of like in yoga, it would have been Uttanasana, but the knees are bent. We've already done this a little bit. Take the feet relatively close together, like 10 inches, 12 inches apart. Bend the knees enough where the palms can touch the floor. And if that's not happening, then bend the knees more and or come up onto the fingertips. Start to move side to side again. And what we're going to do is progress from here into a few other shapes. But the side to side movement is key. It's big. It's a pulsation, a rhythm. It's the slow pulse, allowing for the breath to slow down and become more vast. Now, maybe it takes a little while. Right now, the 6 hamstrings, the 3 in each side, they're 2 medial in each leg and 1 lateral in each leg, and they're gently scrubbing. They're gently rubbing against each other intelligently, freeing up adhesions, freeing up stagnation. It's been there for 27 years, right? Arbitrary. And the low back, can you feel your low back and sacrum also scrubbing to freedom? Scrubbing like gentle movement that is also very powerful. So now twice as strong and half as fast. And within your movement, turn your head to one side maybe as you reach one side. And just kind of free the cranium. The eyes are melting. The tongue is happy, playful. Push the hands down more and more and more until you're so engaged in your core that you're like doing inverted sit-ups. Now, keep moving side to side, but bring some James Brown to your legs and start letting the footwork break loose. So the heel pops up, you pivot on the ball of one foot. You start moving still side to side and slow and strong, but now you're dancing, you're earth dancing. And the legs end up naturally moving wider away from each other. The feet dance so wide that here comes a side squat, dropping in on one side, and the long leg is not locked. That long leg is bent, and you're pulling that heel down into the ground. This is the long leg conversation. Shift over to the other side. It is very important, and it may not be easy for you to point the thigh and the foot underneath it in the same direction. This is knee therapy. Yeah. So we're dropping in side squats. Beautiful. I love hearing you breathe like in person. It's freaking awesome. Oh, strong. You're strong the entire time. Hold space for yourself. This is about animal tracking, your personal animal. It's bone tracking. Oh, things you learned as a baby naturally that we've forgotten. Oh my goodness, so good to see you. Yeah. Okay, now come back up and then turn to your left 90 degrees, and this we call a crouch. And the crouch is just basically a very human fold where the legs are bent, and we're going to move front to back. Front to back. And you can move so far back that the front leg gets almost straight, and there are the hamstrings again. Are you strong enough to keep them from being stretched? So if you know what eccentric contraction is, great. If you don't, it means tissue, turn around to your right 180. When tissue is being lengthened under load, it's resisting and lengthening. That's eccentric contraction. It's 40% stronger than concentric, which is shortening while under load. You want to get really into eccentric. Engage while you're bent, then sit way back through the hips until the right leg is long without a stretch. Turn around to the left again, 180. But check this out. Turn more until you're crossing the midline. Oh boy, now move the pelvis. Let the head and the neck not get stagnant. They tend to end up fixated because the mind can be like, what is going on? And that's okay, the body knows. The mind can just relax. And then turn all the way around to your right. You okay, Rob? Yeah. Sometimes I worry about you, man. And then turn farther than 180 until you cross right over left. Put your hands on the earth so the legs don't fry themselves too quickly. We want the positive fry. Woo! Good. Now turn a quarter turn to your left. Wide legs. Take your elbows to the ground. Knees bent, like Padottanasana in yoga. But knees bent. Turn almost pigeon toe. Elbows down. Lay the top of your head in your hands, if you can. Oh, I mean, you're probably trembling. Yeah, a little bit. This is good. This is good. So what will ground you, my friends, is to sink the toes into the ground a little bit. Just dig into the clay with the toes, not in fear, but in function. And then with the knees bent, move the hips to the left, lengthening the right leg, bending the left leg. Go back and forth very slowly and resist your own movement. Like you're moving in clay. But use your elbows to also move the earth side to side, so you engage the upper body too. While your head is in your hands, the crown of the head and the palms, turn the head a little bit side to side, mess up your hair. Oh boy. Slow and strong, then turn the legs a little bit out. Keep moving side to side, elbows down. Very strong. You're gonna go, the slower you go and the stronger you go, the more you're gonna get out of this. Good, everyone. Bring your hands underneath you. Come up onto long arms. Have a seat creatively. And lay down on your back. It's not the end of class. Just, I don't want you to get, too comfortable with it. Now, when you lay down, if there's even more you can feel. We need to be masters of reset. Reset. Find your zero, brothers and sisters, so your bones are close to the earth. Find your exhale and let it be conscious. And see if you can consciously lay down the heels, lay down the feet, dropping the feet to the earth, and lay down the calves, shins, and lay down the thighs, the inner thighs. Lay down the pelvis. Empty the pelvic floor. It's a choice. Empty the tailbone. Let it play. The tail much longer than a coccyx. It's a long cat's tail doing its own thing. Lay down the sacrum, lay down the lumbar vertebrae, lay down the kidneys. If you learn how to drop the kidneys here, this is huge. Because if you can lay down the kidneys, you can also lay down your heart. Just plant the heart into the earth like a great blossom. And lay down your lungs and lay down your shoulders and your arms so that the neck dissolves any residual tension. And letting the back of the cranium release down and away from the heels. Lay down the voice. And let the mind, let the brain organs sit deeper in the cranium, in the clay. Masters of reset. Masters of letting go. Feel how much space there is around your sacrum. This is a good sign. You're doing excellent work. But now we have to get up again. So take your time and come on up and sit cross-legged. Doesn't matter which leg is in front. Well, actually, no. Let's do this together. Take the right leg in front. We're going to load the shoulder. Now, this is something that unless you have like a strength training practice, you're probably not used to. So we're going to go nice and slow. And so lean to your left and put the left hand down. Now, first of all, gauging intensity. If the left hand is really close to the pelvis, it's way harder. If it's over here, it's not as hard, but it's a little strange for the shoulder. So we're going to lean in just a little bit to your left. And when you do this, keep the elbow close to the body, to the kidney, and push back out. So only go just partial range of motion. Even if you totally can go to the floor right now, don't. Just a third of the way. Because I want to ask everyone, right? Please do not load the pinky side of the wrist too much. Put it all in the thumb index and use your fingertips like claws and dig in. Pull the loaded shoulder blade as far away from the ground as you can towards the thoracic spine. Now let the head look down on the loaded side. It just feels nice. Looking down on the loaded side. Also notice with the right leg in front, when you lean to your left, you can actually set, we call this setting the leg, where the knee is up and the foot is down. It's a variation. But not on the other side. It's the left leg does something different. So you start to increase your range of motion, and if it starts to be too much of a load for the shoulder, use your free hand to also put down on the floor and help yourself out. Now, generally speaking, as you go deeper into this, you want to close the shoulder blades every time you load into one side. If you start laying down one temple on the earth, great. It's not a destination, it just kind of happens. The shoulder blades are really close. The loaded shoulder is way away from the floor as much as you can. And also, everyone, keep the belly really strong. When you load into the shoulder like this, you're working on small and large intestine. You're working on like lung, heart, pericardium as well. Loosen the neck, keep going. But it's going to try to make you back bend right at the lower rib basket. So when you load in, pull the kidneys back, but stay forward on the sitting bone that you're loading, if it makes any sense. Just a few more. Oh my goodness. Toasty shoulders, happy shoulders, I hope, and keep the neck super soft. Okay, so we're going to come up and pause. Just feel. And there's so much to feel. You know how we're like, I think all of us could agree there's a lot to think about most of the time. There's a lot to feel. And so give space. Become the space of witness. Because through that, you become more skilled in letting go. Just observe. And for lack of a better description, you should be feeling a little bit very positively pumped, abundant in the flesh. There's deep blood flow, deep lymphatic flow, breath flow. It's beautiful. Change the way the legs are crossed, left leg in front. This time what we're gonna do is twist. So if you go to your left, put both hands down, pull the shoulder blades together, and then look behind you as much as you can. Lay that right brow down, and then push back up and out. Go over to the other side. You can set your left leg on the right. Lean into the right, look behind you, take it slow, pull the shoulder blades together. Because if you don't, you're gonna lose the right shoulder's gonna dip too low to the ground, and you're jeopardizing the rotator cuff. Go back and forth, looking behind you as best you can. So really focus on retracting the scapula, the shoulder blades pull together. Stronger belly, support the sacrum. If the buttocks are not, they're not engaging, they're not participating, try to turn the glutes on. And I'm going to be honest, most people I work with one-on-one, they're like, how do I do that? How do you turn your butt on? This is very technical stuff, everybody. It's vital. A few more on each side. So you can see with your eyes, the shoulder that's to the back, that's the one really loaded, and you're gonna pull it away from the ground. Remember to not load the pinky side of the wrist too much, just one more per side. Looking behind you. And then come up and sit. Now, any residual tension in the neck, the shoulders, lungs, heart, if you can feel it already wanting to release, then you can help it by observing it releasing. And so the upper chest and the upper back are equally wide. Beautiful. Great. Let's come up into a squat. Now, it can be symmetrical, meaning, the legs are doing the same thing, whether it's turned forward or turned out, whether your heels are down or up. The heels down takes years. It could also be asymmetrical, but just basically, whatever you're in, see if you can move around a little bit, which is always going to be some kind of pulsation, either side to side or front to back, depending on the shape of the squat. Now, it's really important to over-activate the feet. And what I mean by that is to grab on. This is why a mat might not help you so much, is the floor is more slick. Grab onto the floor with your toes, and this will support the knee above. And also, as I mentioned before, the foot and the knee should point in the same direction. This is in each leg pretty much all the time. What often happens is the knee turns in while the foot turns out. It's no bueno. Look, you can even cross in a squat, asymmetrical squat, you can cross. So again, just giving you ideas. So this is deep therapy for low back, sacrum, hips, knees, ankles, and feet. If you ever had plantar fasciitis or any itis, this is good news. Oh, so good. So very strong, just twisting in the clay. Using the hands, pressing the palms into the ground so you don't bear all the weight. And then lift the hips into the key of folding. Long legs, almost straight actually. Bringing a lot of spaciousness behind the legs is behind the knees. And moving a little bit side to side, just slow dancing in the key of folding. Loosening the head, dangling the head on the long neck. So good. It's 30 seconds, everyone. Just some conscious monkey business. The belly will slacken, only fold. Hollow the belly, which means invite the belly closer to the spine, but not in a way that feels like sucking it in. This is difficult, maybe unteachable. But from the low belly up to the middle belly, all the way up to the low front ribs, it's just a gentle hug of the fabric of the belly towards the sky here in this shape. And the reciprocity is in the spaciousness of the kidneys and the lumbar spine, because if that fabric, the back of the corset, can open, then the belly can be close. This is deeply therapeutic, especially for restoring the kidneys, the water, the adrenals. Okay, very good. Coming down and having a seat again. Sit with the right leg in front. Give yourself several moments to just feel, once again, so see the pattern. We engage, then we sit and observe. But the observation is not slack. The observation is its own kind of tone. To be present is a strength. It's also very, very spacious. Think of the devotion in the human heart, how for an entire life, however long we're gifted with, the heart beats the rhythm. The fibers of the heart are insanely powerful and insanely organized. And what if the rest of your body was that devoted, that committed in its role? Imagine your entire wild animal right now, you're sitting with her right now, is just as attuned to the creative force of coming into being as your heart is. So let the heart be a teacher in this regard, in this respect. Okay, so I'm going to try to get us through these two sequences that happened this morning in my practice. And the first round is always a little strange because I have to remember what my notes actually mean. Start with the right leg in front, and we'll piece it together, and then we'll repeat the sequence so you'll get chances to get into a flow with it. Take your hands behind you, turn the hands out, the thumbs forward, and the wrists pretty close together. And you're going to lean back and push the palms down pretty fiercely. And then bending the elbows straight back, lift the chest and push the sits bones down into the ground. Now, let the fabric of the belly hollow towards the spine. As much as you can breathe, the kidneys open, lay the head back. So really press down, and also imagine stretching the earth between your hands, pulling the hands away from each other without them going anywhere. Broaden the inner thighs and sink the inner thighs at the same time. Pull the kidneys back again. And then as you come up, unglue the hands from the earth, swing the arms out wide, palms forward, and bring the hands together way out in front of you with some bend in the elbow. And now here, if you bend the elbows a little bit and turn the biceps towards the ceiling, watch me, you do not want to do this. You want to have your elbows down, biceps up, and press the palms until you tremble. Until you tremble. Okay. Now, we're going to split the arms, and you're going to lean to your right. Take your right arm to the right, but follow your left hand with your eyes until you reach as far to the right as you can, but you can't see where you're going, so put your right hand down on the floor. And now go ahead and lean into the right side like we have been and sweep your left arm over your head. Make a fist overhead, palm facing the ground, and strengthen the left side body as it opens. Reach the left sitting bone and the left knuckles away from each other, but turn on the left buttocks and the left obliques, left side belly. Good, and then we're going to come up. We're going to come up. Good, now check this out. Set your right leg and pull the foot in so it's resting, the right foot's resting against the sole of the left foot. Wrap your right arm around your right knee. In fact, just take both arms and just kind of box around the right knee. And you're going to lean your left shoulder into your left knee. You're going to feel like you're going to fall. And you'll get to that point where you can rest in it. But then using the strength of the left hip only, push the left leg into the floor and come back up. Oh boy. Good. Now, set your left hand back behind you. Take the right hand anywhere to the floor. Now watch, you're going to lift. And you're going to turn to your left, a quarter turn, and fly the left leg straight back and up into the sky, kind of like a half moon, but keep some bend in the standing knee. Okay, now look off to your right and drop the sky foot across the midline, way back into a crossed lunge. You can even now walk your hands to the right and side bend, looking back at your left foot back there. Your upper body is turned to the right, side bending. Now strengthen every place you feel that is stretched. Good. Yeah, stay here for just another moment. Move around in this for a moment. Break it loose and move around in it. Okay, now you're going to spring forward and pivot on the ball of the right foot, a quarter turn to your right, dropping into an asymmetrical squat, which is a moment of respite. Right foot is in front. So what that looked like is we were way over here. And you pivot, drop in, kind of facing your original front. And what we're going to do is lift the hips, take the hands way up in front of you and sit as far back as you can in a very short crouch, hold. Right leg is in front. Everybody push the ground down with your right foot until the hamstrings are engaged enough to nullify the stretch, if you can. If not, bend the knee more. Oh. And then slowly come up to standing. Bend the knees. Come up to stand consciously. Everything is a transition. Everything. Now, drop your right foot back into cat stance. Now, if you don't know cat stance, it's just a shape in standing bar for martial arts where you're very light on the front foot. Most of the weight's in the back leg. Try picking your left foot up, just bounce a few times. See what that feels like. Also look down your right leg. The right knee and toe should point in the same direction. Okay, and you can do all kinds of fancy stuff with your hands if you like. But just feeling this into the hips. Okay, good. And what we're going to do is back up, balance, and pick up the left knee in chamber. Yes, good. Now drop the left foot back. Cross the right knee over the left knee. Kind of like eagle, like an eagle in yoga, but you're going to touch the ball, the right foot down, then bend at the hips, fold at the hips, until you can drop the right heel too, touch the floor and crossing forward. Now, drop, uncross, sweep the right foot out behind you. A short little stance and drop it down into a squat with the left foot forward. And then have a seat, left leg in front. That wasn't too bad. I'm not talking about you. Okay, take the hands behind you. Push the earth. The hands turn out. Back bends, a curve, the whole spine. Powerful belly. The closer the belly is to the spine, the more length there is in the low back. You're actually tracking your spine here if the core is online. Lift the uppermost sternum right where the collarbones meet. And then release. Take the arms out wide. Sweep them forward, thumbs up. Press the palms together, elbows bend straight down. Press until you're shivering. Left leg is in front. Now we're going to split the hands, lean to your left, look to your right. Reach as far as you can. The right hip comes off the ground, and then drop the left hand. Swing the right arm overhead. Don't forget to pull the left shoulder blade away from the floor. Make a fist with the high hand and push the right knuckles and the right inner thigh away from each other and strengthen everything that's stretched. It's not a pose, it's a shape, movement. Okay? Then come back up. Come back up. Set your left leg and put the left foot against the right. Wrap around the left knee. Lean to the right. Right shoulder lands in the right knee and stay here for a moment. Look down. Pull the shoulders back a little bit. And then releasing the head. Use the right leg and push down to the ground to come back up. Good. Now set your right hand down behind you. Now watch, you can take your right leg off the floor. Lift the hips, then turn, quarter turn to your right, and fly the right leg back like half a moon, bending the standing knee. Bending the standing knee. Yeah. Good. Now drop the sky foot way behind you off to your left, crossing the midline. It's like a cross crouch or cross lunge. Walk your hands and your upper body more to the left, so you can just gaze at the back foot for a moment. Now move around in this if you can. Now we're going to pivot, seen from above. See your body from above. You're going to turn counterclockwise, pivoting on the ball of the left foot, turning back to the front and dropping into a squat with the left foot in front. Rock a little bit forward and back, and it'll help release residual momentum from things we've just done. And then lift the hips and back the hips way, way up. Hands forward, fingertips forward, bow the head. It's not that you're looking for a stretch. What you're looking for is spaciousness. And so you must engage the length of the left hamstrings by pushing the earth down with your left foot. Dig in with your toes, bend the knee as much as you need to, and then come up to standing. Now, so rock your left foot back, cat stance. We're going to do this a little bit. And loading on, just do what we did on the other side. First, just get a sense of balance so you can just barely touch the ball of the right foot. And then balance on the left leg and chamber the right leg, which means just bring the knee super high. Keep the standing leg bent. Now set the foot down and cross the left over the right, like eagle, but touch the ball of the left foot, and then fold at the hips, and maybe the left heel can come down, touch the ground. Hang the head, look around slowly, and see if there's movement here. Can you move side to side a little? Which means the heels can pop up if they need to. Be creative. And then uncross, take the left foot just behind the right. Drop down into a squat, right foot leading. Now the way to sit down as a practice without using the hands is lower the left knee down. Then point the left toes, sit behind the left foot, and then you can drop the right leg in front. Mobility training. Your whole life should be mobility training. Pause. Allowance for energy to move through us, and in so doing, in so that allowance, the energy becomes teacher. Okay, let's go through it again. Take the hands behind you. Turn the hands out. Sink the palms. Back bend. Push the sitting bones down and back. And then bring the belly to the spine. Celebrate. Really press the hands. Dig the fingertips in. Pull the fabric of the earth wider between your hands. Using the shoulders. Turn and look to your left as your head lays back. Draw the kidneys back, low front ribs back, turn to your right, just the head. Shoulder blades kiss, and then coming up, beautiful everyone, keep the neck soft, arms wide, and bringing the palms forward to the midline. And you press the midline powerfully, the elbows bending down. And we're gonna lean to our right, reach your right arm to your right, reach your left arm to the left, but follow your left hand with your eyes. And then catch with your right hand, side bend in the seat, swing the left arm over the top. Yes, good. Now come back up. Set your right leg Right foot against the sole of the left. Wrap around the right knee. Fall to your left, shoulder to knee. Look down. I don't know about you, but I love this. It just feels so yummy. The hard part is coming up, so come up. Good. Now, put your left hand down behind you. Try to lift your hips and your left leg. And turn to your left. Fly the left leg back, sort of a quasi half moon, flying side angle. Drop the sky leg way behind you across the midline. Walk your hands to the right as well and play around. Now, walk your hands closer to the front foot. We're going to pivot on the ball of the right foot, turning quarter turn to your right. You end up in a squat with the right foot leading. Then lift the hips and back your hips way up, keeping your feet where they are, and work the back of the right leg as it lengthens, eccentric intelligence. Go ahead and stand up. Whoa. Drop your right foot behind you. Cat stance. Pick up the left knee in cat, chamber. Put the foot back down. Back leg steps across in front like eagle, but touch the ball of the right foot, landing the eagle, hinging at the hips. This is the key of folding or crouching with a cross. And the crossing is so good. See if you can actually feel, as you move around here for a moment, the two hemispheres of the brain relaxing from each other a little bit. You feel it in the eyes and in the brow. And then uncross and just sweep the right foot just behind you. Drop into a squat, left foot leading. Hands free, lower the right knee down. Point the right toes, sit behind the right foot, and fold the left leg in front. Everybody okay? Más o menos. You don't have to be okay, I'm just asking. These days. Okay, take the hands around behind you. Once again, push the earth open, the front, consciously engaging the back. Slide the diaphragm, the bottom of the rib basket backwards. Push the system down deeper and turn the head to the right. Let the upper body sway a little bit side to side. Turn the head to the left. You're moving the earth side to side with your feet and with your hips, your legs, and your hands. Once more, turn the head to the right. Moving side to side with the hands and the whole body. Turn the head to the left. Stay strong. Stay with your breath. Don't hold your breath. And then coming up, take the arms wide and close forward upon the midline. Elbows bent. And press the palms to the point of shaking. Feels really good. The heart loves this. And we're going to lean to our left. Reach your left arm, but look to the right. Follow your right hand as you split. I'm going to catch the left hand to the floor. Keep looking to the right. Swing the right arm over the top. The eyes drop. Now, roll that left shoulder away from the ground. Pull the left kidney back. Stay more forward on the left sitting bone. Point the right knee 6 miles off to the right. That's not dramatic. Good. And come back up. Whoa, set your left leg. Put the feet together. Wrap around the left knee. Fall to the right. Right knee to the right. Right shoulder to knee. Stay here for a moment. Your left heel should be off the ground. Use the right hip, push down, come back up. It's getting easier, isn't it? Put the right hand behind you, lift, float, turn to your right, fire the right leg way back, bend the left knee, drop the right foot way behind across the midline to your left. Walk your hands to the left. So you're in this crouch, almost really crossing the midline and also in a side bend. See what you can do to free the neck here by moving the pelvis, mostly forward and back or up and down. Seen from above, you're going to pivot on the left foot counterclockwise, quarter turn to your left. In a squat, left foot leading. Lift the hips and sit super deep. Fingertips forward and work the left hamstring simply by activating the foot more. Grab on with your toes, but also pushing the ground down with your left foot, with both feet, and stand. Drop your left foot back. Cat stance. Pick up the right knee, chamber. Smile. It's optional. Put the right foot down. Step forward, crossing the line with the left leg, knee over knee, and folding in the cross. And once again, as you move around in this, relax the two hemispheres of the brain organ from each other. Falx cerebri is breathing. The vertical membrane between the two hemispheres. Great dorsal fin. And tuck your left foot, unwrap, take your left foot just behind you, squat, right foot leading. Lower the left knee, point the left toe, sit behind the left foot, right leg folds in front. Let's take a little time here before we move into the final sequence. Again, cultivating our practice of observation, of witness, not separate from the experience, but just not doing anything with the experience, but holding space for ourselves. Spread the back of the tail space. Spread the back of the sacrum. Spread the space behind the belly, behind the kidneys, behind the lungs and the heart. Spread the space behind the voice and behind all of the cranium. Such a deep honor, everyone. Let's do this last sequence, and this one's a little simpler. And take your left leg and fold it by your side. This is going to be the start position. I used to call this in yoga Virasukhasana. So you have Virasana on the left and Sukha on the right. And if this is not okay for the knee, you can sit higher. We're only here briefly. So let's go through the first round pretty slow. We're going to slide the hands out, and you're going to point your spine over your left thigh. And as you do this, drop your right lung a little bit. Drop your right belly a little bit because the right hip is lower than the left. Pick up the left lung, left kidney. Wherever you feel a stretch. How do you strengthen the right hip? You push the right leg down into the ground. Turn the buttocks up until you don't feel a stretch anymore. Push the right foot down into the ground. You feel that? And then there's no more stretch. And there's just empowerment. And then come up. And then dip your right shoulder into your right knee. Okay, now as we come up, take your left leg. So while you're here, shoulder to knee, you can start taking your left leg out and setting the leg inside. By that, I mean the left foot is behind the right. So here you are. Then use your right hand, come up into a squat, right foot leading. So creative transitions up off of the earth. And then we're going to stand with the same stance all the way up. Working glutes and hamstrings. Now rock backward to the back foot. Point your right toes and then sort of arc, no shadow kick. That's a thing from an Iron Monkey. If you've never seen the Iron Monkey, it's a great kung fu movie. No shadow kick. Okay, then you drop back and you're in cat stance with the left foot forward. So here we are in deja vu. Then what we're going to do is take the left hand, bring it down to the floor between your feet. And then we're going to turn around 180 degrees. Okay, into a short crouch, right leg leading. And just stay here for a moment. rock a little bit forward and back, or do whatever you like to do. Slow and strong. Then turn another 90 degrees to your right until the legs cross. Turn the feet with your head. And then from here, we're going to lower down like in yoga, it would be cow face, right knee on top. So we've done like a 270. So push the legs down to the ground internally. Internally, sink, sink, sink some more until you feel very activated. Then lean forward and round the spine over the top. You ought to be strong enough pressing the legs down. You don't feel much of a stretch in the right hip or the left hip. Hollow the belly away from the thighs. Keep the chest wide. And then what we're going to do is come up. Now you're going to take your right leg off the top and turn to your right and fold the right leg next to you in Virasana. So what that looks like, the exit is this. We're here, and you come up, take it off, turn, and you end up set up for the next side with the left leg in Sukha, right leg in Vira. To use the yoga language. People are often like, I don't even know what you're talking about. The Sanskrit words. Okay, so here we go. We're going to sort of point ourselves over the right thigh, leaning in, and dip the left side of the torso lower than the right. Strong, strong. Push the left leg into the floor, the left foot into the floor. And then just roll right over to the left. Put the left shoulder against the inside of the left knee. You can just go directly in. Stay here for a moment. Try looking down. Emptying the neck, emptying the eyes. And then slowly turn and look up. Try that. Keep the kidneys behind you, but don't tuck the pelvis. Pull the tail, sits bones back. And as you come up, you can start to take the right leg out already as you come up and set the right leg inside, left foot in front, and then just push up into a squat, left foot leading. Go ahead and stand, slow, slower, strong, breathe, breathe, breathe. Now rock onto the back leg and then trace an arc with the left toes around behind you counterclockwise and fall back into cat stance, right foot leading. It's not about getting any of this stuff right. It's not about the form, it's about the feeling. You're going to bring the right hand down between the feet and turn around to your left 180 degrees. Left foot leading. Stay here and play around for a moment. Maybe rocking front to back, back to front. Continue turning to your left and you'll end up crossing your crouch, your fold. And then from here, maybe bringing the right knee down first or folding right into a cow face. Crossed seat, left knee on top. Sink the legs into the ground and then lean over the top. And the study here is to truly open the hips in a way that is more lasting, is to engage so deeply that you're not feeling the stretch. It actually opens up a deeper range of motion and teaches us boundaries. And then come on up, and as you come up, take the top leg off the top, fold it next to you as you turn to your left. You end up where we started in the first time. Okay, here we go. So folding over the left leg, nice and strong. Really enjoy the engagement. Take your life back. Then roll the right shoulder into the inside of the right knee. Look down. Put the right palm on the left chest. Put the left palm on the low front ribs on the left, like right in front of the left kidney. Turning the head down. Keep the hands, turn the head and look up. And roll the left shoulder back further. Pull the right shoulder also back. And the left hand, if those left front ribs are popping forward, soften them back, opening the kidneys. Good. Release the head. Come on up. Set the left leg inside. Okay. With your right hand push. And you have an asymmetrical squat with the right foot leading. I love how quiet this sequence is energetically. So from here, we're going to stand. Balance on the back leg, trace, No shadow kick, all the way back. Left foot leading, cat stance. Okay, good. Now put the left hand on the floor between the feet. Turn 180 to the right. Stay here for a moment. Short stance crouch. Super yummy, super functional. Reaching down and touching the earth, getting your brain close to the earth while you're still on your feet. Think about that. How often does that happen? Turn to your right, cross the right leg over the left. Set up your folded seat, your Gomukhasana, right knee on top. Push the legs into the earth, lean forward. The spine should round. This in all deep flexion shapes. The spine should round over the top. As you come up, unwrap the top leg, swing it and fold it by your right hip, and you come back to where you started. On the other side. So right leg in Virasana, left leg in Sukhasana. Okay, folding over the right leg. Find your micro movements. If you're conditioned to hold, like in a pose, find the movements. What can you dance here? Undulating the spine, turning a little bit here, there. Then roll the left shoulder into the left knee. Put the left palm on the right chest, shoulder. Put the right palm on the low front right ribs, the skyward front ribs. Turn and look down. Roll the shoulders behind you, the kidneys behind you, the sits bones behind you. Turn and look up. Keep everything else the same. Individuating the neck. And then release as you come up. Set your right leg inside, close. Left foot forward in a squat. Go ahead and stand. Tracking the knees. Balance on the back leg and arch the left leg down behind you. Cat stance, right foot. Bring the right hand down in between your feet. Drop your head, turn around to your left, 180. Play in this short crouch. It's so good. It's just so good. Knees bent. Sometimes the legs straighten. Most of the time the legs are bent. We want to do it all. Turn to your left, crossing left over right. Just keep moving. Now it's more side to side. Beautiful, everyone. Folding into the Gomukhasana seat. Left knee on top. So super engaged, right? Sink the legs into the earth. Sink the legs into the earth. Lean over the top. And try to practice in a way where you're not stretched. You're just engaged. That trembling, so you start to fall in love with that. You can feel the energy resetting, clearing. Come back up. Take the left leg off. Turn to your left a bit. And we're right back to where we started. So we'll finish with one more full cycle all the way through, and then we'll rest. Okay. Beautiful practice, everyone. Beautiful work. You're going to lean over the left leg. Slide your fingertips forward. Dip the right lung a little lower. Turn the biceps towards the ceiling. Strong legs. Both legs push into the ground. Roll the right shoulder on top of the right knee. Do whatever you want here for just a moment. Go ahead and come up. Set your left leg inside and a squat, right foot leading. Transition to standing. Balance on the back leg, squeezing the right leg around behind you. In cat stance, all the way, almost all the way on the right leg. Put the left hand on the floor. Between the feet, turn around. 180. Take a moment and play. Keyword play. Relax the neck, relax the eyes, strengthen the body. Turn more to your right, crossing right over left. Continue to play. Making your way creatively down into the crossed feet, right over left. Engage the earth with the legs. Push down fiercely. That should invite you to lean into it. Start leaning over the top just by pressing the legs into the ground. And then as you come up, unwrap the top leg, turn to your right a little. The right leg folds by your side. Left foot against the right knee. Last time, folding right out over the right knee, moving within it. For the movement informs and allows us to really have a better sense of what's going on, what is possible. We less confined, even in places like this. Roll the left shoulder into the left knee. Free the head and neck. Very conscious of what's happening in the deep belly. And come on up and set your right leg inside. Left foot forward in a squat. Left foot forward, standing. Breathe, 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 breathe. Balance on the back leg. Trace, arc the left foot behind you. Cat stance, right foot leading. Right and down. Just dance. Beautiful earth dance. Turn around to your left. 180. Play here for a moment. And special attention to softening the neck. So close to the end of our practice. Turn to the left again. Quarter turn, we've got left leg crossing the right. So all of this pivoting, reorientation, so good for the nervous system. Sitting cross-legged, left knee on top. So sink the legs, lean in over the top. And then as you come up, unwrap the left leg. Just for a moment, set the left leg next to you. Sit for just a moment. Let's take a little time on our backs, everyone. Supine, the key of supine. Resting, like Shavasana in yoga class. There's a lot to feel. There's a lot to experience. So that root purpose, whatever you do in your life, that root purpose, underneath it all, is to come into being, to see what's possible, to explore. gentlest return, the softest return. First to the breath, landing once more in the midline and in the deep belly. The movement will happen all by itself. Small at first, usually. Sometimes it's a great big reach. And your transition up to sitting and into the flow of the rest of your day is very conscious and patient. Deepest gratitude, everyone, for bringing everything that you bring, sharing yourselves, and especially for your conscious movement, your conscious breath, and your play, your dance, your curiosity. Many blessings. Enjoy the rest of your day.